지켜볼 수 없다. 이제는 내가 직접 나서야 할 때가 된 것 같구나. 형제들, 거울 높이 들어. 첫 번째 저수에게 더 이상 패배란 존재하지 않는다. 이 땅에 영광의 전투가 펼쳐지리라. 엔타로 GSL.
I can't stop green. I'm only burning. We always run.
아프리카 TV 프리고 스튜디오 라이브 2020 GSL 시즌 3 코리아스 라스트 스탠드.
Years, 10 years, years 10. I said 10 years, but my mic wasn't turned on at that time. Guys, happy birthday, GSL.
Yeah.
Still going strong. Best esports show of all time.
Oh, easily.
Easily.
This
Hope
is-
you guys enjoyed that video, that little mini documentary about Artosis and myself, the Tastosis propaganda film. Yeah, that was very sweet of them to do that.
Yeah, no, that was great to see. Yeah, thanks everybody. 10 years of GSL. This is literally the 10-year anniversary, which means 10 years ago, like to the minute, you and I were casting GSL.
Yes, it's crazy. We had the meeting with the production company. We knew, okay, we're going to at least get to do the pilot season of the show. We're going to do our best. And here we are 10 years later.
Yeah.
We made an entire living off of StarCraft. The GSL is an incredible show, and it's getting better with age here.
StarCraft 2 and GSL launched esports the modern age. That's
Yep.
for sure.
That's true.
Wow. Crazy ride. I was pretty sure it was going to happen. I was pretty sure this is where we'd be 10 years later.
It all went according to plan.
I thought I'd be like another foot taller right now, but I guess people stopped growing, so that was weird. But
Yeah,
like,
that was
other than that, I nailed
That was
it.
one of the disappointing things about getting older. Is we don't get to keep growing.
Yeah.
But look, it's great to have had you guys here with us for the 10 years, or some of you I know have started a little bit late, but of course you're always welcome to join us. Yeah, we have a little GSL cake down there we're going to be eating after the show. And if you are tuning in right as the show started and missed the little mini documentary about us, it'll be playing again after we wrap up this group, Group C.
Yes. There's Group C right there. Maru, NightMare, RagnaroK, and Dream. It's pretty clear that that NightMare is going to win the group. I don't even know why we're here today. This group is like we have two complete monster Terrans. Then we have RagnaroK, who's quite good. And then we have NightMare, who hasn't been in for a couple of years and plays a lot of Heroes of the Storm. And like,
Yeah.
he was kind of exciting when we saw him, but can you do anything today?
I'm not sure. I think, this happens in the round of 24. It's pretty par for the course, is that you have groups where it seems like one player, in this case, Maru, is probably just going to get out right away. I'm curious to see where NightMare is going to end up compared to our expectations. We do have players that are up and coming that do start to really dominate. People grow at different phases, as far as skill goes in RTS. And we were mentioning this in the last cast just 2 days ago, but look, man, sometimes it takes 10 years to finally hit your stride.
Dude, sometimes it takes, we're looking at maybe 23 years to hit your stride, for me personally.
That's right.
Still looking for that stride.
I think I still did about 24 for me, but eventually.
It takes time. It takes time. That's fine, though. Everybody's different.
That's right. Well, one of the things about RTS, man, is it's not something you pick up and get really good at and then drop it and come. It's like it takes a lot of work and a lot of time, and you really have to build it into your mind and acquire all these different skills. And let's see if NightMare's there. This is the ultimate test, though, to face off against Maru.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Death Aura for Game 1. Let's go.
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다. GSL을 위하여. 전투 지원이 들어왔다. 함께 우린 더욱 강하다. 기력을 위해서 마루 조사
So,
I don't normally say something like this, but I feel like in this series, I'm more interested. Let me put it like this. I'm less interested in what strategies NightMare does and more interested in how well he can execute it.
oh, okay, that's kind of fair, yeah. Well, we see he's already going to do a one base build because he's got 2 gases, so that's kind of exciting.
That doesn't surprise me.
I'm glad to see him do that, like to not just make a Nexus, right?
Yeah, he's trying to circumvent a game where you would just have it unfold in a normal macro game. I think everybody can agree that Maru's basically just going to probably win that in a game like that. He's just stronger. He's a robust player. But it's also hard to imagine Maru really getting thrown off his feet here in the early game. The SCV, by the way, is not going to scout that proxy pylon there.
He should have seen the probe go by, so he might have an idea, but we don't know if he actually saw it. Now, NightMare steals the gas. Ah, I wonder what the... Oh, okay, no, I was going through my head, like, could this be like a Void Ray build? But I'm leaning towards no right now. I guess we'll see in a minute. But, This is kind of exciting because NightMare, people might not remember, but he was the first player to use Blink DTs professionally. That was the season he made it in, and Blink DTs were still somewhat new. No one had used them yet. And he made it, and he showed some great plays with Blink DTs that day. Ended up getting defeated PvP by Hero, but it was like kind of fun. He was like, it's rare that we get new players. And he was an exciting one, and then like I followed him on Twitch right away, and he streamed Heroes of the Storm just about every day, and like didn't really make it into GSL again for years, and here we are. And he's proxying Robo, so what's that gonna look like?
Yeah, this is gonna be fun to see if this will work out here. We actually don't see the strategy very often in GSL, but it is viable. If it works, it's going to really screw the Terran up early on. We have a second bunker coming down here. So at this point in time, Maru suspects something's coming here.
Yeah. Well, the stolen gas, and he hasn't been able to find what's going on. He knows that there should be something, and he's actually fanned out over a large portion of the map, but hasn't found the proxy Robo. Now, it's just a Prism on the way. There's not actually that many units here, right? He's got like a couple Stalkers. But with a Cyclone on the way, it's, I mean... Warp Gate's not quite done. Oh, okay, he is going to make an Immortal. Maybe he waits to go into the... No, he's sending the Prism right over.
I thought he was going to wait too, actually, but...
Yeah, maybe, but...
Or maybe he's going to pick up the Stalkers and go back? No, he's going to just go for it.
Yeah, I guess you poke right now, and then you come back. Like, you want to start damage immediately.
When you see the... when you see a Warp Prism here, that you know an Immortal is going to be the next thing made, right? So you've already exposed what tech you're trying to go for here. Good maneuvering there with the Warp Prism, actually getting away from the Cyclone pretty well.
He's got to get out of there, though. You cannot lose this to the Cyclone.
I think he's going to lose it to the Cyclone.
He's definitely going to lose it to the Cyclone. That was like, oh my god, it's got 1 hit point. It's literally got 1 health. Tasteless.
The Immortal's here, but you can't really do anything if you don't have the Warp Prism. So this strategy is completely failed. It was risky to bring the 2 Stalkers there with the Warp Prism,
well,
and now we see why.
You should know when the lockdown comes off cooldown, and the fact that he was still sitting there.
I was surprised he actually veered to the right as well. Even if that got away, the Cyclone would probably be able to get over there again and get it.
Yeah, and then maybe you could have at least secured the kill. Like, securing the kill is one thing, right?
Yeah.
Trading a Prism for a Cyclone, it's like, well, I mean, it's not the best, but at least you got something.
The weird thing about it as well is that the Stalkers can just run out. They don't need to be saved by the Cyclone or the Warp Prism.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's like,
I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, it's not like that was inside the main, and you know, it was either he abandons them there and they die. They would just run by the bunker, which didn't even have 4 Marines in it, just I think 2 or 3. Take some damage and then go away. So, anyways, a pretty disappointing start here to the strategy. Now, because that Warp Prism was lost, even though this rush is still going on in this game, it's been slowed down a lot. So, even though this is doing some damage, I imagine this is going to be pretty manageable here for Maru.
Yeah, you're not going to get that much done. He's got enough defense up, but NightMare is macroing up, right? Like, I mean, he's taking a 3rd Nexus. He's getting Blink. He has other things that are going on. It's just, is he going to have enough when Maru finally moves out? Oh. Okay. Oh, all right. Well,
I love this new way you cast Artosis.
Well, first, I guess so. At first it was like kind of stuck there, and I'm like, well, all you have to do here is flick 1 probe and it dies, right? Because it gets stuck. And then he doesn't do that, and I'm like, all right, I guess he gets away, and then he doesn't even try to get away, and it dies. I'm like, okay, well, there you have it. We're all just throwing in the towel, aren't we? My commentary on top of it. None of us going to put any effort into that. Not NightMare killing the Reaper, not Maru keeping the Reaper alive, and hell, not me commentating that farce. That farce of a scout.
So, Protoss is fairly behind here. There was a modicum of damage given over here to Maru, but I think Maru is going to be able to get into a pretty healthy position here as this game progresses. We've got the third command center coming down here, so there won't be any kind of aggressive push for a little while here. In fact, I think on both sides, this game is probably going to go down, slow down here. I don't imagine there's any kind of unique timing attack from the Protoss side where you can hit them as they're taking their third base. I think that would be a big error if he did that.
But you know what? I really like how he's playing this in some certain ways, right? His original opening didn't really do that much. But the fact that he has now gone into 3 Nexus, he's going charge and he's going double forge. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I really, really like that.
Well, he's investing in the long game here.
Yeah, and if he lives to the point that 1-1 finishes, which it really looks like he's going to, I can't call that a bad position.
No. The only thing I wonder is that because we saw NightMare open up with a super aggro build, and I could be completely wrong about this, but he may not be feeling that confident going into a late game against Maru, which I think is completely fair. It's
probably
reasonable.
No one should feel confident going late game against Maru.
Yeah.
Literally
maybe
no one of any race. Yeah. Well, he's taking his 4th Nexus. You know, let's look at this probe count. 63, not bad. We'll see exactly how many probes he wants to make. He needs that 1-1 done, basically. I love the fact, by the way, that he has 3 Immortals in here. That adds so much punch to his army, which is just really important. He has the strength here. And as long as that 1-1 finishes before we have a big engage, can you see a 3 Immortal army with 2 sentries and then a bunch of charge lots losing at this point in the game? It seems not, right?
Oh, hold on. We have 2 Zealots actually coming through here. Going to try to shred up some of these workers. Now, I think it's going to do not too much damage. The push is coming here, though, from Terran. Terran's actually in the middle of the map. He is going to catch this Robo here. But let's see how much damage this push can actually do. We do have the army supply beginning to exceed the Protoss, but a lot of PvT is about how the engagement actually goes down. Can Protoss get good force fields? Our medevac's going to be sniped. Here we go. Oh, this is actually a pretty unfortunate angle for the Protoss to try to attack here.
Oh my God, I can't believe, that mine hasn't hit.
He's doing it again.
Well, that mine almost shredded him like 3 times, then it didn't hit. Yeah. But now, like that engagement was not really that good for NightMare, unfortunately.
No, let's stick with this casting style. I like it. We got to watch Artosis' brain feel out the game.
Yeah. Normally, I'm good at turning the what's and ahs into words, but not today. Tastes, I've been doing this 10 years, man. It's time to put me down.
It's where you get caster disease. They find out way in the future. It's like, casting is actually really bad for you. You know.
Tasos, you only missed 2 more days than Artosis over the 10 years. So by this time next week, you're going to have caster disease.
Yeah, there's already tumors all over my brain. They just haven't started to kill me yet.
Oh, man. Okay, well, there's a lot of mines here now. That one engage that we saw, it was, well, hold on. There's actually a warp in here in the main base.
This is enough that it's going to cause a real problem for Terran back at home, but we're seeing the army get chiseled down here pretty heavily for the Protoss. I think this game's going to end in about a minute here. I think Terran just kind of comes in here with a killing blow. Whenever you just see Stalkers and Zealots, you know that the Protoss is in trouble. When the Archons and Immortals are gone, and even though economically Maru's hurting, this army is already here. Yeah. The damage is already being dealt. The probes are being pulled. We have, 1 Immortal coming in here with this group? Not even in good range of the tanks.
He can't really clear the army is the problem. And he tried to clear it 4 times. Yeah. And the thing is, if you don't clear it those 4 times, then suddenly you have an army that can clear it, right? Yeah. And that's where we're at, unfortunately, for NightMare.
Okay, so I guess there's going to be a little bit more harass over here, but I do not know if there's an answer for this big Terran army. Oh, I stand corrected, actually. I guess if the tanks are that far forward.
Immortals are a good unit, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so he ends up holding. He dealt a lot of damage to the SCVs, but Maru's SCV count is actually still okay, and he gets mules, right?
Yeah.
So it's not that bad, really. 40 workers.
And even these zealots here are just being hemorrhaged, not doing much of anything. 38 workers are killed, but, well, maybe I actually overestimated Maru's advantage here. It's, you know,
No, I think
60 probes. I think he's going to win.
Yeah,
But 60 probes is a very good number. He can reclaim that 4th base with ease.
But look, NightMare is playing a very powerful style. He's continually making immortals. That's something I can really appreciate, right? Especially if the game gets kind of more scrappy. I think those immortals can be really powerful.
Well,
right?
this Warp Prism is really keeping NightMare in the game. That Warp Prism actually has a tattoo of the Warp Prism that was killed at the start of this game.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
And when that one
That
dies,
was his twin brother.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
When that Warp Prism was shot down, this Warp Prism felt pain.
And his mom is feeling really sad about it, too, because she is the circuit board inside the robotics.
Yes.
And the other robotics, the first robotics, that was his dad.
Oh, wow.
Oh, damn, that's really
This is
sad.
a sad story.
Yeah.
But Zealot's coming down here. There's actually no SCVs to harass, so he's going to pull away, only losing 1 Zealot. I'm a little bit surprised there's not more defending here.
Dude, he has zealots everywhere.
Yeah, this is actually doing quite a bit of damage. Where's the army? There's something pushing up towards 12 o'clock.
Look at the army that
I
he's
think-
actually bringing in here as well.
The thing is, half the army's up there, taking out the Nexus, but the majority of the strong units here for Protoss are actually over at the Terran's base.
He's going to have to recall, I think.
I believe you're correct.
Because he can't be losing, he can't go down to 2 base, basically. You see, he just shook his head as his harassment got cleared out, and he had to recall again. So,
By the way,
this game is really cool.
I was mentioning earlier I was more interested to see how well NightMare would execute his play, not so much what strategies he picks.
Yeah.
He's playing very well.
Yeah,
This
I
is
think
actually
so.
a really good close game here. And even though I think Maru's still probably going to come out on top and win, if Maru makes 1 or 2 mistakes, NightMare can still take this game.
Yeah, it's definitely Maru favored right now. But you know what? If he makes some disruptors, yeah, there you go. Don't want to see Colossus here. You definitely want disruptors. If he gets a couple good disruptor shots, he can still kill the army. It's very Marauder heavy. He has a lot of immortals. He's making quite a few shield batteries here. The thing is, he doesn't really have splash yet. He really needs the disruptors. It's so incredibly important.
Okay, here we go. Big attack. The angle actually much better for Protoss here, but it looks like Maru might just be able to force his way through once these force fields go down. Oh, the disruptor's a really good addition here. Let's see how that connects with the army.
That is
That's what we want to watch for sure.
Oh, that was a bad disruptor ball.
Yeah,
Maru saw that coming a mile away and just was already ready for it. Okay, good force fields, though. The force fields are actually doing a great job pushing back units so they can't all fire at once, and the Immortals are gunning down everything in front of it. Very, very nice.
Right now, NightMare getting squeezed here on 3 bases, but he's kept his tech pretty stable. We have 2 more disruptors coming up here. An overextension or a misplay by Maru, and I think NightMare can still bounce back.
Dude, this game is cool.
Yeah, this is actually a great game 1. I thought it was just going to be NightMare getting owned, but it's not that case at all.
No, it's really not. It's some beautiful, beautiful play. Like, the thing is, he's made mistakes this game as well. But strategically, he's brought something a little bit special, a little bit different, that is sound, and he's playing it pretty well.
Okay, forced to cancel there. By the way, you can see how tight this game has been because Maru had to lift off his main CC and use that to land a CC somewhere else.
Very true.
I mean, if any more CCs get sniped here, it's going to be really bad. But it does seem like the reach that NightMare has as far as controlling his side of the map is getting better the more disruptors he has.
Yeah. It's hard to control, but he can do it, you know? Okay, so Maru has his army split up into 2 groups. As the main group of NightMare's army comes over, of course he can hold on. Nice pickoff on the Archon.
Oh!
Man!
That was insane.
3 health left on that one. Gosh, Maru.
Okay, good pickups here. Disruptors alone, you know, they need something to cover them. Disruptors are funny units because it's not like the more you get, the better they are either. There's like definitely a right number.
Like they are funny and like Like, you can get enough that you can consistently send out disruptor balls and stuff, but you're right. It's not like you hit a critical mass and they can't do anything. It comes down a lot to control.
Okay.
Good stuff. Look at this. I mean, he's clearing mines very nicely. Oh, Maru hitting the natural now, getting rid of one of the robos.
Yeah, that's actually pretty big to deny that tech. And the pylon's unpowered, so the other robo can't build either.
Gets two of the medevacs on the way out. One of them did have units.
What am I? Oh my God! That.
Well, that was the end.
Tabs out there. Okay.
That's a bad
What
way
was
to end
a
it.
back and forth game. But NightMare misstepping, not watching his disruptors, losing all of them to those Widow Mines and Marauders.
Maru should be a little bit nervous, I think, because when I look at that, I see a NightMare that made several small mistakes that turned out to be very big, right? Like, well, rather big mistakes that are easy to correct, I guess is the right way to put it, right?
Yeah.
Losing the original Prism, that's a big no-no. The first engagement where he was going up a ramp with his units in a line, a big no-no. Right? Walking your disruptors over mines, a big no-no. Those are easy things to fix, though. He probably doesn't normally do stuff like that.
Going to game 2, Eternal Empire, I think everything that you said is correct, Artosis. Basically, if NightMare can sand down the edges of his play, he can win. I think he was probably a little bit nervous, maybe a little bit too much adrenaline.
Maybe.
The kind of adrenaline that doesn't help you get better actually feeds into a little bit of anxiety. He had some miscontrol there. I think if he can adjust that, he could certainly take a game off of Maru.
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다. GSL을 위하여. 마루 조성주. 팀 NB 나이트메어 차.
Okay, let's see what Maru's going to do against NightMare here. Again, remember, guys, NightMare opened up with a pretty aggressive proxied robo. He came out earlier than we were both expecting. He came out and actually was attacking with just 2 stalkers, which is one of the funnier looking early attacks I guess you can do. The combination of units. While the Immortal was making, and then he lost the War Prism. Now, I don't know what that game would have looked like had the War Prism gotten back out and he picks up the Immortal and comes in then with the 2 stalkers and the Immortal.
Well, it's certainly at least slightly better for him, right? Like, you harass a little bit earlier, they have a little bit less, you get a little bit more done. It makes a big difference. I think that was the first big blunder, and then, like we mentioned, right, like that attack uphill where he lost most of his army, that was brutal, man. You wait for one more warping around near your Nexus where you have a battery, and you smash that. Yeah. Instead, he loses most everything, keeps bleeding chunks of army, and loses the base, and then still makes it a very close game. I'm very happy overall, strategically, with what he did that game.
I'm also curious to see what NightMare will be able to do when he's not against a player like Maru, right? I mean, he was actually really making Maru work for that win.
Yeah, he did. He did. It will be interesting. And the thing is, I think that this is a tough group because I think Dream actually has one of the best TVPs in the world. I really like Dream's TVP. So even though it's like Dream and then this is Maru, you might see it look kind of similar. Where it's like, oh, wow, Dream's just better, but he's only a round of 8 guy last season, right? Whereas Maru's a 4-time champion. But no, it's like, well, as far as that matchup goes, I think Dream is as good as Maru at it, just about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like NightMare's style overall. He's a very fun player to watch. Really brings his own stuff. Here, we just see the Twilight. Nothing looks weird. Nothing looks out of the ordinary.
You know, another thing about NightMare that I can really appreciate here is that a lot of players that, you know, barely squeak into GSL, some of them just look like inferior versions of the other players that play the same race. Like, they look like an incomplete version of Trap or an incomplete version of Innovation or an incomplete version of Rogue or something like that.
Sure.
What's cool about NightMare is he actually does have his own style, his own approach, and it doesn't seem to be modeled off of other players. I mean, this is the first guy that showed us blink DTs in professional play, and he played a very clean and very original game in Game 1 here, even though he lost tomorrow. It was a really sick
You know, it's a
match.
good point, actually. And we always really do favor players like that now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Like Prince that we saw last season. He really brought his own stuff. And like people, it wasn't just you and I. People on the internet liked him so much that people were like talking about it on Reddit. You know, it was like, oh, damn, this guy is like really a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
It's very cool to see. And that's kind of the beauty of StarCraft also, is doing your own thing.
Yeah, it's cool that there's so many ways to approach the game still. And this is the thing about RTS, really, is like, if you go back, and this is worth pointing out, especially on the 10-year anniversary of GSL, go back and watch Season 1, just click through a few games, and look at how trash the games are. Woo! And it's not like the players themselves are bad. It's that RTS is so complicated, it takes years to unpack.
It does.
And all the, the 3 great RTSs, StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3, we're still learning things about them.
Absolutely.
There's still things to be discovered because these games are basically impossible to fully map out. The possibilities in RTS are just so endless. The ways to approach the game and the fact that you can have so many different maps that reward different play styles.
Yeah, without any doubt, you're right about that. I mean, that's why they chose StarCraft 2 for Alpha Star to take on, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, we need something beyond chess and beyond Go. And what's that? Well, it's truly StarCraft.
And there's no, I know that there's other games that take a lot of skill and they're fun to watch, but it's kind of hard to compare anything to StarCraft. Even if you ask other pro gamers from other games, we got to talk to a lot of different people from different games, they will always privately confide that StarCraft was too hard.
Yeah,
at least for them to pick up.
Very, very, very many people.
Big respect for this game. So, in this game, we have Colossus being made. Thermal Lance has just started while Stim's a little bit under halfway done here. But this has been a much quieter game than Game 1. I think on some level, because Maru actually really had to fight to win that game despite handling the early game against NightMare very well. I think NightMare, even though he's down a game, and he kind of had a sad way to lose when he just had the Disruptors walk into a bunch of mines. I think NightMare's probably going to be pretty confident going into a macro game against Maru. He looked good, right?
Yeah. I'm looking at this right now, and it's Eternal Empire. It's like kind of our most normal map. Well, our most macro-oriented map. It's just very hard to kill people early on. And seeing NightMare just do a straight-up macro build, that's like, the reason I like Game 1 so much, I think, is because it was solid fundamentally, but also mixed it up enough to make it hard for Maru to play against. What I'm looking at now, like, it's very solid fundamentally. This is about as, it's a very normal build, right? There's nothing too weird here. But Maru will have practiced against things exactly like this a million times.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it makes me a bit nervous for him is all.
Okay, let's see how this first engage goes. We actually have Terran kind of getting above the Protoss. Protoss actually has to back up. This is a push that's actually in the direction that we saw that NightMare wanted to expand to. This is a very Maru-esque move, is the moment that you could spot and pick up. But I think he decides to back off, realizing a pylon actually saw that pickup occur.
NightMare's playing pretty solidly. He knows that there's a good chance that there will be some secondary pressure coming. So he has a good spread of observers. He has some units behind his natural, has that watchtower. And I liked what he was doing with the walkout of the Colossus, right? When you see a Raven coming across the map, you can't fight it at your Nexus or the Nexus will die because it will get disabled and you will have to run away. Whereas if you go out front, at least you're buying yourself some time if it gets disabled, right?
Yeah.
You can actually do some sort of kite and fight.
What did you call it again?
Kite and fight.
Kite and fight. I forgot about that from our last cast. Okay, so there was some pressure on the map here. That hasn't stopped NightMare from continuing to grow and flourish on the map. A push coming in here at 12 o'clock. Insta-cancel. And we're starting to see Maru show why he pretty much beats everybody. You can see the supplies beginning to rise. Oh my God.
How many times is Maru going to have one hit left on things?
The takeaway from this is always have one more stalker than you think you need. defending.
That's
okay?
true, yeah.
Everything is one stalker shot off.
If we could just nerf all Terran units by 5 health, I think it would help the game.
Yeah. Maru would never even be in GSL.
Yeah! Adepts would be the thing again, you know?
Yeah.
It'd be great.
His nickname would be Exploding Medevac. So yeah, we're just seeing Maru kind of take the lead, and sometimes, especially in macro play and RTS, it is more of a race. You know, when you see people like in a well, any kind of race, a car race, you're actually just running.
Potato sack race.
What
is this? What is he doing?
Oh, hold on.
Yeah,
Keep
well,
it going.
I guess that's... Oh! Well, the
Whoa.
Disruptor comes up and almost makes this a very cool move. Instead, he's going to lose his entire army in the game.
I think there is almost no way to come back from this. Maru just taking a fight. You can see the force fields were never enough to actually stop the army.
Well, what was he doing right there?
Well, it was weird because you want your force fields to actually either cut up an army or stop its movement entirely, and instead he just made it more of an arc. He bought himself like 2.5 seconds.
Yeah. Well, I think he was hoping against hope that he had enough to not engage, because his army never in a trillion years could have beaten Maru's army there. That's too bad. This game was really a flub.
So, can NightMare maybe say this? I mean, with Disruptors, anything's possible, but I think at this point in time, we're really starting to see the twilight of the series.
Yeah, no, this is super duper done. He's like, he needs amazing Disruptor hits basically to stay in this game. Maru just is not going to allow that.
Okay, so right now, NightMare just barely hanging on. We saw some DTs get warped in there. 2 more Disruptors coming. Can that Siege tank actually hit the Nexus from there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is going to force a fight here. But it does look like he's actually hung on. The problem is that even though we're seeing Maru micro constantly here, 100% he's macroing the entire time. I mean, look at the production tab at the top here.
Yeah.
So he's just continuing to mount his lead.
Well, we'll see how good NightMare really is with Blink Disruptor. I mean, it's a composition that's good at comebacks, but it's exactly as good at comebacks as you are good with it and your opponent is bad against it.
Yeah. Also, Maru's games tend to end like this. There's not a lot of games where it's Maru basically getting ahead and then somebody comes back ever, right? Can you think of any games he cast that are like that?
No, you don't come back against Maru. When he was on his championship runs, remember, we had analyzed it to the point where it's like, if Maru is behind, he's even. If he's even, he's ahead. And if he's ahead, the game's already over.
Yeah.
And that's like a good way to describe him when he's on.
Good catch here by NightMare, but I don't know if this is enough to get any kind of comeback. And the thing is, even though we're seeing NightMare survive these attacks, it's the growth on the other side of the map and the lack of ability to even give any attention to the other side of the map here for NightMare that's the problem.
You know what's funny is I'm looking at this game and how well NightMare is fighting back with what he's got. Can you imagine if he hadn't lost 2 Colossi, 2 Sentry, a small group of Stalkers, and 2 Disruptors right at the beginning? Right?
Yeah,
Like,
no.
Can you imagine? Like, none of this would have done anything to him. Maru would not have even been able to attack, you know?
Yeah.
So, I'm still excited about him, even though he kind of really messed up early on in this game. Because if he would just not have these mess-ups he's having, and I mean, that's what you practice for, right? Is to try to reduce mess-ups like this.
Execution.
But, like, he almost looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, he looks, I mean, it's very obvious how he qualified here. He's an excellent player.
Yeah, if he could just pull that stuff together for a game, he would absolutely be a Codes regular.
Yeah. By the way, Maru now taking his 5th base. We still have Protoss barely surviving on 3 bases. Terran's now maxed out, and the money will continue to bank up. So even when we see the armies of Maru get taken down, it's going to be remade very quickly here. Another attack right through. He's going to cut. It's actually going to cut off the 3rd base from the 2nd base here.
Warping around his Zealots here. He does have Disruptors at his 3rd he can bring in for the flank.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. I think that the Marauders can just ignore the Disruptor shots, though.
Yeah, for the most part.
I think they just kite their way through this base. Wow. And again, the 4th is going to be picked off here.
He's just way too strong.
GG, Maru wins, but it was a good series. NightMare is a good player.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing what else he can do.
Totally, totally. I think that I would love to see NightMare just play like his best. Like, I can almost tell that on ladder he would be very, very scary, you know? Like, because if he doesn't make these few mistakes that are obvious mistakes, it's not hard to point these out, right? Like losing your Prism at the beginning, or for some reason a third of your army was across the map. Like, maybe that was a misclick. I'm not even sure what he was doing there. But if he could clean those up, he's actually, he can eliminate someone in this group.
Yeah. Yeah. I think NightMare has a real shot still. But Maru, of course, you know, par for the course for him. Anyways, guys, we got a short break. We come back, RagnaroK versus Dream. Don't go away.